Hello there, friends, and welcome once again to the world of real-life chills. Tonight's unsettling account hails from the village of Oakhaven, and it's a story shared with us by Ashley himself, a resident who recently lived through it. Trust me, this one's a proper nail-biter, so settle in and listen closely. And if you've got your own brush with the uncanny, do feel free to share it. Our Ashley, you see, was a bright lad, burning the midnight oil for his college entrance exams back in 21. He'd cleared the first hurdle and was deep in his advanced studies. Now Oakhaven held a special place in his heart. From childhood, he'd spent countless summers there. Our cast of characters includes Ashley himself, the diligent student, his cousin Tommy, his aunt's son, and their other cousin Ben, who lived in the city. These three lads, thick as thieves, would always gather in Oakhaven. Oh, the memories they made, running wild in the orchards, gorging themselves on ripe fruit straight from the trees. A proper idyllic childhood, one that Ashley, bogged down with his studies, had sorely missed for the past few years. The pressure was on, you see. Unlike his other cousins, he'd cleared that initial exam, so the weight of expectation for the advanced level was considerable. Study had kept him away from family gatherings, even a few weddings. But then came September, when Ashley's father received a call from Oakhaven, from his elder brother no less. Young Billy, their cousin, was getting hitched. The date was set for the 16th of October, and the entire family was expected. No excuses. Ashley was over the moon. A chance to return to his beloved village after so long. His advanced exams were scheduled for the 3rd of October, and this news gave him even more reason to knuckle down and finish his preparations. He eagerly awaited the exam, knowing that his favorite place awaited him on the other side. Plans were made, and Ashley threw himself back into his studies. The thought of Oakhaven a constant, happy distraction. 6 days of wedding festivities awaited. Initially, Ashley's parents considered flying, but Ashley insisted on the train. A proper journey, he said, so tickets were booked for the 4th of October, allowing them a leisurely arrival by the 6th. The 3rd of October saw Ashley finish his exams and head home, utterly exhausted. The next morning, they boarded the train. Ashley and his sister, we'll call her Daisy, bagged window seats, enjoying the scenery and chatting away until they finally arrived in Oakhaven. There, waiting for them, was Billy himself. Ashley hadn't seen him in nearly 5 years. As he stepped off the train, Billy looked quite taken aback. Ashley had shot up in height, a good 6 foot odd now, towering over the 5-foot frame of his cousin. After the initial surprise, warm greetings were exchanged, luggage was stowed, and they set off towards the family home in what they called Homestead Lane. Now you can imagine when you've just tackled a grueling exam like Ashley had, the first question everyone asks is, how did it go? Billy was no different. So how was the exam? He asked. Ashley, ever the pragmatist, replied, let's not dwell on the past, shall we? We'll know when the results come out. Billy chuckled and continued driving. A 30-minute journey brought them to the family home. The house was already a hive of activity. Village weddings, you see, are grand affairs, with celebrations starting well in advance. Family members had arrived days ago. Ashley and his immediate family were the last to trickle in due to his exams. After the initial flurry of greetings, the long train journey caught up with Ashley, and he promptly fell asleep. He awoke in the late afternoon and immediately sought out his cousin Ben. What are you up to? Ashley asked. Fancy a wander down to the market? Ben agreed, fetching his wallet. As they were about to leave, a voice called out, where are you two off to? It was Tommy. The market, they replied. Right then, I'll tag along. Tommy, a good 12 years younger than Ashley, but the three of them got on famously. As they strolled along, the familiar banter began. Before they knew it, they had reached the village square. It was bustling with wedding guests. Ashley's great uncle, Billy's father, owned 2 shops there, a chemist's and a paint and furnishing store. As they wandered past, they saw Billy sitting outside. Oi, you three! What are you doing gallivanting about? He called out. Just stretching our legs, Ashley replied. It's been ages since we were last here. Sit down, have a bite to eat, Billy offered. They were treated to local delicacies, and the 4 cousins fell into easy conversation. Eventually, Ashley suggested they head back, Hang on a bit, Billy said. It's nearly closing time. We'll all walk back together. Ashley agreed, and the four of them continued chatting as Billy finished up at the shop. As they walked home, the light began to fade. They were deep in conversation when Billy suddenly turned to Ashley. "So, how was that advanced exam then?" he asked, a teasing glint in his eye. Ashley gave a wry smile. "We shall see when the results are out," Billy chuckled. "Fair enough." Suddenly, Ashley's gaze fell upon something at the side of the road. A circular concrete platform, and on it several women were circling a small flickering oil lamp, chanting softly. "What are they doing?" Ashley asked, a puzzled frown on his face. "Just keep walking," Billy said quickly, pulling him along. But Ashley's eyes remained fixed on the scene. The women continued their slow procession, their voices murmuring in the local dialect, a language Ashley and his city-dwelling cousins didn't understand. Ashley watched until the women and the platform disappeared from view. A strange unease settled in his stomach. Back at the house, Ashley quizzed Ben. "What was all that about?" Ben shrugged. "No idea. Probably some local custom. There aren't many streetlights here, so maybe it's just for light." "No, they were circling a lamp and chanting," Ashley insisted. "There's definitely something going on." "Well, I wouldn't know," Ben replied. "Let's ask Billy. He'll know." They found Billy, and Ashley immediately asked, "What was happening back there? And why did you stop me from looking?" Billy sighed. "You city lads and your nosiness. Just forget about it and go to sleep." "But I won't be able to sleep," Ashley protested. "Tell us." "Leave it, you'll just spoil your holiday," Billy said dismissively. "Come on, Billy," Ashley persisted. "We've seen all sorts in Delhi, haunted places and all that. Nothing scares us. Just tell us what it was." Billy relented. All right. You lot are persistent. You remember old Mr. Henderson who used to live down the lane?" "Vaguely," Ashley replied. "Didn't we used to avoid his house?" "Right. Well, this spot has a bit of a history attached to him. He wasn't a pleasant fellow, always trying to swindle people out of their land with forged documents. Nasty piece of work. Had run-ins with half the village. Last year he got into a fight in the next village and ended up stabbing someone. Anyway," Billy continued, his voice dropping slightly, "one night, he was sleeping in his courtyard when about 10 thugs descended on him. They bolted the gate from the outside, trapping him. They beat him something awful. He screamed and screamed for help, but no one dared to interfere with that many men. His wife was inside, yelling for help, helpless to get out. After a brutal beating, they pulled out a knife and, well, they made mincemeat of him, chopped him into pieces and buried him in the fields nearby before fleeing. The next day, the police were called. They found the remains. There wasn't much to be done given the state of things. So they buried what they could there and then. Most folks figured he deserved it, a man like that. But then, strange things started happening in the village. People living nearby started hearing these terrible screams at night full of pain. Some even claimed some have seen Mr. Henderson's ghost. The word spread. Oakhaven was haunted. One night, Uncle Walter, who lived just a few houses down, was returning home late from his shop. It was past 11, pitch black. He was riding his motorbike down Homestead Lane, the only light his headlamp. Suddenly, in the beam of his light, he saw a figure ahead. A man, hobbling along with the aid of a stick. Uncle Walter thought, "Who's out at this hour?" And he looks in real trouble, barely able to walk, needs help. He pulled up beside the figure and asked, "Are you all right, mate? Where are you headed so late?" The man didn't reply. Uncle Walter edged his bike closer and repeated his question. Still no answer. "Oi, who are you?" he asked, a bit more forcefully. At that, the figure slowly turned towards him. And what Uncle Walter saw, well, it chilled him to the bone. The man had no arms, no hands. His head was split open down the middle, blood still oozing from the wound. Uncle Walter was horrified. The man was wearing a long shirt that hung down, and it looked as though the sleeves were swaying in the air, like they were his arms. Beside him, a stick hovered in the air, not touching the ground. No hands, no arms, and one leg was missing. Uncle Walter, utterly terrified, tried to back his bike away. As he fumbled with the controls, the figure spoke. a raspy whisper chilling him to his very core. You are the one who killed me." Hearing those words, Uncle Walter's blood ran cold. He tried to accelerate, but his hands were shaking so badly he lost control. The bike swerved, and he crashed into the field beside the road, knocking himself unconscious. Around 4 in the morning, a villager on his way to the fields spotted the motorbike headlight. Curious, he went to investigate and found Uncle Walter lying there unconscious. He raised the alarm, and Uncle Walter was rushed to the hospital. He'd fractured his right arm, but thankfully he survived. He told everyone what he'd seen, Mr. Henderson's ghost, in the same gruesome state he'd been left in. The whole village was gripped by fear. They called the village priest, told him everything. The priest took a trident, tied some sacred offerings to it, and went to the spot where Mr. Henderson's body had been buried. He planted the trident there, hammered stakes around it, and performed a ritual, declaring that the malevolent spirit was now bound to that place and could not leave. That very day, the villagers built a circular concrete platform around the trident. The priest explained that while he had contained the spirit to weaken its power and eventually grant it peace, the family of the deceased had to come every evening, light an oil lamp on the platform, and circumambulate it, reciting prayers and mantras. And so, to this day, Mr. Henderson's family visits the platform every evening, lights a lamp, and says their prayers. Since that ritual began, no one has ever again heard Mr. Henderson's screams or seen his spectral form. So, those women you saw, Ashley, they were performing the evening prayers at that very spot. And that, my friends, is the story. But mark my words, whatever you do, stay away from that platform. Right then, we won't tell anyone, Ashley said, a nervous edge to his voice, as soon as they got back to the house. Sir, however, they recounted the tale to the rest of the family. They were met with disbelief. "Rubbish," someone exclaimed. "They capped that old well years ago and built that platform right on top of it." Ah, well, that explained the platform. But it didn't explain the rest of the spooky business. The next day was the pre-wedding ceremony, a joyous occasion. In the evening, a bachelor party was organized for Billy. Village bachelor parties aren't quite like city ones. This involved a gathering of the older male relatives and a bit of stronger drink. Younger lads like Ashley and Ben were given soft drinks, but Tommy, having just turned 21, was offered a beer. He drank one bottle, and it went straight to his head. Suddenly, Tommy declared, rather loudly, "Right then, we're going to that platform. We're going to have a word with this ghost." Ben tried to reason with him. "Tommy, you've had too much. Leave it." But Tommy was insistent. "Come on, Ashley. You're coming with me." Ashley, always up for a bit of adventure, despite his earlier unease, agreed. And so, the three cousins set off towards the village square. As they walked, Ashley tried to lighten the mood. "Right, you ghostly blighter," he called out into the night. "Tonight you'll know you're dealing with lads from the city. We ain't afraid of no ghosts. Show yourself if you dare." Tommy, still a bit tipsy, echoed his bravado. They reached the concrete platform. Ashley and Ben noticed something immediately. The gentle breeze that had been blowing had completely died down. The usual sounds of nocturnal animals had vanished. An eerie silence had descended. Tommy, oblivious, slurred, "Blimey, it's quiet here. Not a peep." They looked around, trying to see anything out of the ordinary. "Right," Tommy announced. "I've got an idea." He clambered onto the platform, turned to Ashley and Ben, a mischievous grin on his face. They watched, bewildered. Tommy bent down, blew out the oil lamp, and began to sing, rather off-key, "Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear ghosty. Happy birthday to you." The moment the lamp was extinguished, a violent gust of wind whipped through the air. Ashley and Ben felt a sudden, intense chill. Tommy started retching violently, swaying precariously. Ben and Ashley rushed to his side, supporting him as they practically dragged him back towards the house. They didn't dare look back at the platform. They got Tommy into bed, and the two of them lay down, shaken. "Don't tell anyone about this," Ben whispered to Ashley. They barely slept a wink that night. Ashley woke first, a dull headache throbbing behind his eyes, probably the stress of the night before. He went to brush his teeth, leaving Tommy sleeping. After brushing, he returned to find Tommy stirring. "What happened last night?" Tommy mumbled. "Nothing much," Ashley lied. "You just had a bit too much to drink." Tommy seemed to accept this, reaching for his own wash bag. As he headed towards the bathroom, Ben called, "Ed out. Where are you off to?" Ben called out. Ashley hesitated. Just going to check something," he mumbled, feeling a prickle of unease. He went to the bathroom, brushed his teeth, and returned to find Ben and Tommy talking. Tommy seemed a little more with it, but still groggy. "Morning," Ashley said. "Morning?" they replied. Later that day, the house was buzzing with activity. The tilak ceremony, another pre-wedding ritual, was in full swing. Tents had been erected, sweets were being prepared, and gold jewelry, a significant part of village weddings, had arrived. Ashley had never seen so much gold in one place. Amidst all the festivities, Tommy remained strangely subdued. He spent most of his time on the roof, gazing intently towards the village square. Ashley, initially keeping him company, eventually left him alone, a growing sense of foreboding settling in his stomach. He couldn't shake the image of Tommy on the platform, singing to the darkness. As evening approached and the wedding functions continued, Tommy was still on the roof. Ashley would occasionally glance up, seeing his cousin's unwavering gaze fixed on the same spot. He knew something wasn't right, but he couldn't quite articulate it. Finally, as the night deepened and the last of the wedding celebrations wound down, Ashley, Ben, and a still quiet Tommy went to bed in the same room. Sometime in the dead of night, Ashley woke up. Tommy wasn't in his bed. "Ben?" Ashley whispered, nudging his cousin. "Tommy's gone." Ben sat bolt upright, instantly alert. They were all in this together, and Tommy's strange behavior since the platform incident had them on edge. "Where could he have gone at 3 in the morning?" Ben muttered. "Let's check the bathroom first." They crept towards the bathroom, but it was empty. A growing sense of panic urged them to search the house. Then, Ashley's eyes fell on a door slightly ajar. The room next to their great-uncle's, where the jewelry was being kept. The room was usually locked. They cautiously approached. Peeking inside, they saw a small lantern casting eerie shadows, and there, hunched over a collection of glittering gold, was Tommy. Ben and Ashley grabbed the nearest sturdy objects, a couple of thick wooden sticks, and burst into the room. The sight that greeted them froze them in their tracks. Tommy was frantically stuffing jewelry into a bag. As they entered, he looked up, his eyes wide and vacant. His face was deathly pale, and deep dark circles ringed his eyes, as if all life had been drained from him. In his hand, he clutched a screwdriver, the tool he'd used to open the locked chest. Tommy lunged at Ben, the screwdriver raised menacingly. Ashley reacted instantly, throwing his stick with all his might. It struck Tommy's arm, sending him stumbling sideways. The screwdriver clattered to the floor. Ashley and Ben wrestled Tommy to the ground. Tommy, normally of average build, possessed an unnatural strength. He fought like a wild animal, his eyes still vacant. "Tommy, it's us. What's wrong with you?" Ben pleaded, trying to restrain him. But Tommy med beyond reason. He thrashed and mumbled incoherently in what sounded like the local village dialect, a language he didn't even speak. The commotion woke the rest of the household. Billy and their great-uncle rushed in, their faces etched with shock. Together, they managed to subdue Tommy, though it took all their combined strength. He continued to babble in the strange dialect, resisting fiercely as they tried to move him. They decided their only option was to take him to the prayer room. Dragging Tommy towards the prayer room was a struggle. He fought every step of the way, as if an invisible force was pulling him back. As one of his feet touched the threshold of the prayer room, he let out a blood-curdling scream, so loud and filled with terror that 2 of the older relatives fainted. The scene was chaotic. Ben and Ashley, still reeling from what they'd witnessed, looked at each other, fear etched on their faces. Billy rushed to their side. "What in God's name is happening?" he demanded. Tears welled up in Ashley's eyes. He recounted everything, the platform, Tommy's strange behavior, everything. Billy listened intently, his initial disbelief slowly turning to grim understanding. The fact that Tommy, a city boy who didn't know the local dialect, was speaking it fluently while trying to steal the jewelry was deeply unsettling. They immediately called the village priest. He arrived, took one look at Tommy, and his face became grave. He understood. He tied a sacred thread around Tommy's wrist, instructing them not to remove it until the priest returned in the morning. Then he went back to the concrete platform. There, he performed more rituals, chanting and tying another sacred thread to the trident. The next morning, the priest explained that a malevolent spirit had indeed latched on to Tommy, its influence growing stronger after Tommy's disrespectful act at the platform. The rituals he performed were meant to weaken the spirit's hold and eventually free Tommy. He reiterated the importance of the evening prayers at the platform. Tommy, slowly returning to himself, had no memory of the previous night. He was horrified and deeply apologetic. The incident served as a stark reminder to everyone, especially the city dwellers, to respect local customs and beliefs, no matter how strange they might seem. Sometimes the veil between worlds is thinner than we imagine, and some places hold energies best left undisturbed. And that, my friends, is the rest of the story. A chilling tale of disrespect, a vengeful spirit, and a night that none of them would ever forget.